Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. I was going to share a Facebook post with you that I just made here about an hour ago, and I thought you'd find this interesting. And I wrote, the burglars just made a loud noise on the east side of my home. This is direction of the underground home in the backyard. And basically, I'm sitting here at my computer, and I'll show you here. You know, into that room is the bathroom, and that's the east side of the room. That's the direction, because I'm here, of where this extremely loud noise is, and it's like beyond the side of the walls. That's the backyard. That's where it's believed the underground home is at. I'm gonna go in there and show you in a minute. And so I believe it's coming from underground. I wouldn't say it was a gunshot, but it was loud. It was a very, very loud noise. And of course, it wasn't the first time this happened. You know, it was one of thousands of different proofs around here. There should be no doubt whatsoever about people breaking the house. Should be no doubt about the underground homes that are here, the tunnels, or anything else. There's just an overwhelming amount of evidence, But I'm just documenting that the crimes at my home have never stopped. Okay, and so I'm just going to go over this Facebook post and some of the comments, which I thought was interesting. Okay, and so Sarah Marie here, she writes, just now. And look at the timestamp, 1 hour ago. I said, yes, ma'am, a very loud noise. And I said, and she writes, they just never stop. We want updates. And so I commented back, and I said the crimes have never stopped. And I was told that the previous owner was telling his friends about criminals breaking in this home before he died here. Okay, so I'm showing you here the obituary from Mike Lawhon. Died, right before I transferred into town and bought this home from his widow, Sarah Lawhon. And his friend told a friend of mine, and that's a screenshot at the bottom there. It says he felt like people were in his house. He knew how people were in his house. So Mike here, that died, 27 years old, I believe in this house and taken to Fort Worth, that was telling people were breaking in this house, and that fits other evidence. There's one woman that said she worked on this project, was finished in 1987, cost us $7.35 million. She believed the Bushes were involved in putting it in. I remember my next door neighbor, and this was right after I figured out somebody's breaking in my home, and I was telling him about it, and he tells me, he said, the last 4 people lived in your home didn't live there long. And of course I didn't think it's funny because the last one's dead. I crawled out on my hands and knees to save my life. God saved my life. Anyway, I went on for a next comment. I pointed on the map where the noise came from. I've heard many noises from the same location, which sounds like it's beyond the walls of my home. I believe it came from underground. So I'm showing you a map, and basically I was just showing the people on Facebook, here's the maps, here's to show you in my house where this super loud noise came from, right? And so this is a picture I created a long time ago, which I like because it's interactive. It's saying, hey, go to maps.google.com. You can do that on your phone or your computer. Look up my address, 3802 Fair Circle, Midland, Texas, and then switch between the map screen and the satellite views. That's the map screen. There's the satellite. So anybody can go to Google Maps. It's on the internet. And what I'm showing you, when you looked it up in my backyard, you see this large bunker in my backyard. Okay, it's real clear on the map screen. But when you flip it over to the satellite screen, there's no bunker there. Okay, it's underground, and I've got all these people, multiple people, documented saying that there's underground homes here. Okay, a woman was recorded saying there's 4 3-bedroom underground homes. That's the video called $1 Million Underground Facilities. Rhonda Denman Rogers told me that one underground home is a half block away. I got a print screen of that. Layla O'Brien says she worked on this project, the Safe House project, cost $7.35 million, finished in 87. And then Sheriff candidate Joe Lozano told me that the underground homes was the hideout for the late Sheriff Gary Painter. Okay, so I got multiple people saying there's underground homes here, and I got a Google map picture showing that there's an underground home in my backyard, and that's the direction of where the noise come from. That's the point I was making. And Sarah says it does look like a perfect spot to access for a bunker, right? And then I went on and I commented and I said, yes, it's about 20 foot away from a secluded truck unloading lane that is hidden behind the Home Depot store in Midland. It's the perfect place for smuggling drugs, weapons, money, humans, terrorists in from Mexico. I showed DHS, Department of Homeland Security, where I believe a tunnel was located that was used for the parties and murders in 2019. And 2 weeks later, they dug up the ground and concrete was poured. Okay. And what I'm showing you, I'm going to go back to this map. It was right here on the other side of the alley is Home Depot, behind them trees right there. Okay. That's where I was showing them. And I'm going to show you on this picture here. This was actually 2 weeks after I was back there with Homeland Security, showing them where I believe this human trafficking murder tunnel was at, where they carried the remains of that little girl they murdered at the 2010 oil show party, where the people at the underground oil show parties were going at. I think they were using this tunnel. They dug it up, poured concrete after I showed them where I believe this tunnel's at. You could see it on Google historical maps, where the ground was cut, the asphalt was cut, aimed directly at my house, and in my backyard is one of the 4 underground homes. I believe that's the $1 million underground homes of where the oil show parties were at, and that's where that little girl was murdered at. That's the point I'm making here. And Sarah comes back and says, you are correct. That makes perfect sense. Okay. And then I went on here and I said, I secretly recorded this phone call where a woman told me there was 4 3-bedroom $1 million underground homes. Obviously, that is one of them. She is now one of the many people I've documented saying similar things. It's believed this is where the oil show parties were held and where a young girl was murdered at in 2010. The previous owner of my home died the week before the 2008 oil show started. That seems important. I want to talk more about that. This is just that short clip.
Ask them about the pizza parties. They said they're not called pizza parties, but I know what you're talking about.
Right, the pedophile parties.
Yes.
And then and see, a couple of weeks, you probably read all this before, but a couple of weeks after I got out of the hospital, that ex-wife comes by my home and she says, you don't know how many lives you ruined with your idiocy. And of course, my idiocy was staying home and minding my own business. I'm shot inside my home. And but what she was saying was a lot of people were here, and they're going to have their lives ruined. And
you know how many feet that gun pushed through?
That
ground it was, because he said that these houses are 25 feet under, at least 25 exactly.
So that was, important details, $1 million, 3 bedrooms. She didn't say 2 bedrooms. She didn't say 5 bedroom, right? 3 bedroom underground homes, $1 million a piece, confirmed what multiple other people have said. You can see it on Google Maps. And so here, let's go and look at some of the other replies. Sarah says, I've always believed you, And I said, I appreciate that, as I haven't always had all of this evidence. Back when somebody under my home shot me, all I had was this crazy story of burglar alarms going off in the attic, and then boom, I fell to the floor. Now there is proof showing that I wasn't shot with my gun, proof of many other homeowners reporting people in the attic, and multiple people documented saying that tunnels and underground homes are here. It's no longer my word against their word, as the evidence stands on its own merit, And I'll play part of this one. I've done it many times. Basically, it says
someone who she claimed was in the attic.
Just
300 Hickory. The complainant saying she can hear someone up in the attic. She smells cigarette smoke. Took her family, they're going to be waiting out front.
And that's over and over and over and over. I've got more than a dozen addresses just in Midland, Odessa. People reporting the attic. I saw a young Hispanic guy in my attic. It's not a what if could be. I was shot with burglar alarms going off my attic, and proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. Multiple people documented saying underground homes are here. Anybody that can't figure that out, they're just a liar. That's all there is to it. You try to make an excuse and say it's a spider. Bullshit. It's murderers is what it is. I'd say the evidence is overwhelming at this point. This is Ernie talking. I'd say the evidence is overwhelming at this point. Sure seems like something's up to me. Okay. And that's what I'm pointing at. It's to the point of absurdity. There's so much evidence. There is no question. The story's crazy. Absolutely. But there's no doubt about the truth here. There's just way too much evidence showing it. And I write back, I'm a lifelong supporter of law enforcement, and I've long believed that not all police tamper with evidence, falsify police records, and cover up violent crimes such as what has been going on here at my home. Sooner or later, this crime ring will be stopped, and that may happen real soon. And I believe that is coming. It's just to the point where I don't think they can keep breaking in these homes and killing people, because, I mean, it hasn't stopped, and the evidence is just overwhelming. I put a couple more proofs, and I'm going to close this out. In 2010, my friend Angie McGee Hurley was leaving my home and at the oil show party in 5 minutes, so I believe they were held in these $1 million underground homes. She told me about a young girl that was murdered there because she didn't want to prostitute. I tried to get Angie to report this murder, but she was afraid and told me that high-level police were also at the party. I then got a call from a Midland police officer who threatened to arrest me if I spoke with Angie again. Obviously, he was connected with covering up the murder of that young girl. Somebody could trace that phone call. The remains of a young girl was found outside of Midland in 2013, and it seems like nobody's trying to find out who killed her. I believe she was the girl that Angie told me about. Her killers don't want the underground homes exposed, and have been trying to terrorize me into selling my home at the price they set, of course. I mean, that's always, the part there, they're working together to terrorize me from my home because they know there's an underground facility in the backyard. They know there was oil show parties. They know a little girl was murdered there, and they desperately want me out of this home, And so this is a news article, the only one I ever found about this little girl being murdered, and that was from the KMID posted here. The sheriff's office continues investigation, set of remains found in 2013. A 14 to 21-year-old girl, her remains were found outside of Midland. There's been one news story in 8 years over it, and I think that's a clue in itself, The previous owner of my home died the week before the 2008 oil show started, which seems convenient since there's an underground home in the backyard that was used for the oil show parties, right? If you Google his name, then you'll see the Odessa American posted a death notice for him, which said he died in Fort Worth. But then 4 days later, they posted a second death notice and changed the location of death. You ever heard of that happening? To say he died at his residence. That's a whole different city in Midland. I believe he was killed here and taken to Fort Worth. And that was to cover it up. After the oil show, his widow, Sarah Lawson, dropped the price $35,000 and sold this home to the next sucker, which would be me. Google this and see for yourself. And that's what I'm challenging. Go Google William Michael Don Lawhon Odessa American death notices, and you'll see there was 2 death notices posted. First one said he died in Fort Worth, and then 4 days later they posted a second one, changed the location of death, said he died at his residence. And that fits the evidence I found. The week before the 2008 oil show started, obviously he was killed by the people involved in them oil show parties, right? Absolutely. In January 2012, I reported a suspected tunnel to the DEA, but they didn't look. That's another fact that you could go look up. And 2 weeks later, my phone lines were cut and somebody under my home shoots me by surprise with absolute proof showing I wasn't shot with my gun. The nurse documented me saying the alarms kept going off. They were somebody in my attic setting off motion alarms over and over before I was shot. Not a spot or a person. Now, homeowners all over the country are documenting reporting people in the attic. It's widespread organized crime and murders. And I have a little proof picture here straight from my security cameras of me crawling out. Why did you crawl out, buddy? Because they cut my phone lines before they shot me. They planned on me dying. This was a carefully planned cold-blooded murder is what it was. And you can see from the nurse's notes, time stamped at 11:27. I'm crawling out at 10:42. So just minutes later, here I'm going, there's sirens going off. There's a voice recorder that ends up getting stolen. The alarms kept going off. I was tie-wiring my doors to keep them out. And what happened, it looks like I tie-wired a bathroom door and trapped a burglar in my guest bathroom. And I believe these corrupt police were working with the burglars that are breaking into my home and all these other homes that are rigged with hidden underground access where they're reporting people in the attic. I suspect it's connected to human trafficking. And that fits where another guy, I didn't put it in here, but another guy named Shannon Jeter, he wrote me, he said, buddy, He says, cops can kill you and get away with it. You need to sell that home. You need to stop publicizing their business and sell that home. And of course, once again, selling my home, moving, that's all to cover it up. That's why, and what is these cops' business, right? Is it pimping out little girls in underground facilities and murdering the ones that won't? Is that what killing the homeowners above? What is their business that I'm publicizing? Is it tampering with evidence and lying on police reports and capital murders? That's the question I'm asking, and I'm going to show you here. We're going to go in here because I want to show you. I was sitting there at my computer and boom, I hear this loud noise. Not just a little bump, right? I'm talking boom, and it's back and it's further than this wall right here, and like it's not even, possible, You sit here and let me open this up. And what I want to show you, we're looking outside. There's my backyard. That's where Google Maps is showing one of the underground homes is at, right? And you can, if you look over here, you see where the live tree was taken out, okay, where the missing tree had 2 side-by-side manholes on the other side. Remember them pouring concrete over there? The coax cable comes down this telephone pole right there. It goes in the ground. Nobody knows where it goes. Remember that? The water well over here in the backyard, there's, that we think that's a clue. There used to be a suspected tunnel entrance that got removed in that backyard that at the same time that tree got removed, And so that's where the noise comes from. The crimes at my home have never stopped. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas.